My name is Wilson, and I never imagined I'd be writing something like this. I died. For a few minutes I left this world, and what I saw changed me forever. This wasn't just an out-of-body experience. It was something far beyond human understanding. I met Jesus. He revealed things to me, things about our world, about the future, and about a coming shift in 2025 that will shake the foundations of everything we know. This message isn't just for me. It's for you, for everyone. I have to share it because time is short. Please, listen carefully. It started out like any other day. I woke up early, grabbed a quick breakfast, and headed out for work. It was a clear morning, nothing unusual, no bad feeling, no warning of what was about to happen. I remember checking my phone at a red light, just a quick glance at a message from my mom. Then the light turned green, and I started driving forward. I never saw the truck coming. The impact was violent, beyond anything I could describe. Metal twisted, glass shattered, and my body was thrown like a rag doll. There was pain, but only for a moment. Then silence. Everything slowed down. I could hear my heartbeat, steady at first, then fading. It felt like something was pulling me out of my body, and then suddenly I was above it all. I saw the wreck. My car was completely crushed. People ran toward it, screaming, trying to help. But I wasn't there anymore. I was floating above, watching it happen. I saw myself, but I didn't feel connected to my body anymore. The world around me felt distant, like I was seeing it through a thick glass window. Then something shifted. The edges of my vision started to darken, and I felt a pull, stronger than anything I've ever experienced. It was like being sucked into a tunnel, but I wasn't afraid. There was no panic, no pain, just movement. I realized then I was dead. But death wasn't what I expected. It wasn't empty, wasn't cold. It was something else entirely. That was the moment everything changed. As I left my body, a force pulled me forward, faster than anything I could comprehend. It wasn't like falling. It was smooth, effortless, like gliding through space without resistance. The world I knew was gone. The sounds of the crash, the shouts of bystanders, all of it faded. I was moving through a tunnel, but it wasn't just any tunnel. It was alive. The walls shimmered, shifting between light and shadow, almost like they were made of pure energy. I couldn't tell if I was traveling up or forward. Direction didn't seem to matter. Then I started feeling something, a presence. I wasn't alone. At first I couldn't see them, but I knew they were there. Beings, watching, guiding. Their presence was overwhelming, not in a frightening way, but in a way that made me feel small, like I was in the presence of something far greater than myself. Suddenly the tunnel widened, and ahead of me was the most radiant light I had ever seen. It wasn't just bright, it was alive. It had depth, movement, intelligence. I felt its warmth, but not like the sun. This was something else. This light wasn't just illuminating, it was pulling me in, but at the same time there was something else. A darkness. Not the kind of darkness you experience at night. This was different. It had weight, presence. It didn't just absorb light, it resisted it. It was as if two forces were at war, battling over every inch of this space. And I was in the middle of it. The pull toward the light was strong, but the darkness wasn't passive. It was reaching for me, whispering, tempting. It wasn't like a voice, but I understood it. It was full of lies, deceit, trying to make me doubt, trying to make me afraid. Then a voice spoke. "Wilson, keep moving." The moment I heard it, the darkness recoiled. It shrank back, powerless against the authority in those words. I didn't need to be told twice. I moved toward the light, and as I did, I felt everything around me shift. I was about to enter something beyond anything I had ever known. The tunnel wasn't just a passage, it was a test. I realized this as I moved forward. Every step, or whatever movement I was making, felt like a decision. The light ahead was welcoming, familiar, safe. The darkness behind me felt like it was waiting, watching, looking for a moment of weakness. I didn't want to look back. The closer I got to the light, the more I felt something awakening inside me. It was like memories, but not my own. It was knowledge, understanding, things I had never been taught but suddenly knew. It was as if this place was revealing things to me that had been hidden all my life. And then I saw them. Figures. At first, they were just shadows in the light, moving, shifting. Then they became clear. They weren't human, not in the way we think of humans, but they weren't frightening either. They were beings of light, radiant and full of purpose. They didn't speak, but they communicated, and what they showed me changed everything. I saw Earth, but not as we see it. I saw layers, dimensions. I saw battles that weren't physical but spiritual. I saw how everything that happens in our world is influenced by things beyond our sight. Every action, every decision, every prayer, it all mattered more than we could ever imagine. I also saw the battle intensifying. Dark forces were rising, trying to take control of nations, of people's minds. But there was resistance. Beings of light, angels I somehow knew, were pushing back. But it wasn't easy. The balance was shifting. And then I saw something specific. I saw a moment in time, a leader returning, a shift in the United States, one that would bring both hope and chaos. It wasn't just political, it was spiritual. That's when I heard the voice again. "This is why you were brought here, Wilson. You must understand what is coming." The tunnel wasn't just a journey, it was a revelation. And I hadn't even reached the end yet. As I moved forward, the beings of light became clearer. They surrounded me, watching, guiding. I felt no fear, only awe. Then everything around me shifted again. It was as if I was no longer in the tunnel, but standing in an open space, vast beyond measure. And before me, like a giant screen, my life appeared. But this wasn't a memory. It was real. I saw myself as a child, my first steps, my first words. I saw my happiest moments, my greatest failures. But what struck me most was how I experienced not just what I had done, but how it had affected others. I felt the pain I had caused, the joy I had given. Nothing was hidden. And then I saw the moments I had prayed. Every prayer, every cry to God, it all mattered. I saw how each prayer sent ripples into the spiritual realm, how it influenced things beyond what I could see. Then I saw what was coming, a storm, a shift, and the return of someone the world wasn't ready for. Jesus was about to reveal something that would change everything. As I stood in that space, overwhelmed by the life review, I heard it again, the voice. It was deep yet gentle, filled with power but not forceful. It didn't just speak to my ears, it resonated through my very being. "Wilson," the voice called my name, and in that instant I knew I was standing before Jesus. I turned, and there he was. I can't describe him in a way that does justice. He wasn't just a man, though he had a human form. His presence was everything: love, authority, wisdom, eternity. His eyes, they held galaxies, but when he looked at me, it was as if I was the only soul in existence. He already knew everything about me, every thought I had ever had, every doubt, every fear. He knew me better than I knew myself, and yet there was no condemnation in his gaze, only truth and love. "You have questions," he said, though I hadn't spoken. I did, 1,000,000 of them. "Why am I here?" I managed to ask. His expression didn't change. Because the world is changing, and you must understand what is coming. I didn't know what he meant, but I could feel the weight of his words. Then he reached out his hand, and suddenly the space around us shifted. The light became clearer, and I could see a vision unfolding before me. It was Earth, but not as I had left it. Something was different. Something was coming. The Earth before me looked familiar, yet I could sense a shift in its very fabric. The sky seemed unsettled, as if it knew something was about to happen. Cities stood, unchanged at first glance, but beneath them, spiritual forces were colliding. Then I saw it. A timestamp appeared in my mind. 2025. The world was at a crossroads. Nations were on edge. Chaos brewed beneath the surface. There was a shift in power, and with it came a great shaking. I saw protests, people divided like never before. The tension wasn't just political, it was spiritual. There was a battle beyond what human eyes could see, and the forces of darkness were fighting harder than ever. Then my eyes were drawn to a figure, a leader, one that had been cast out but was now returning. I knew, without needing explanation, that it was Donald Trump. His return wasn't just a political event, it was something much bigger. Jesus allowed me to see behind the curtain of history. The decisions of world leaders were not made in isolation. There were spiritual forces influencing every move. Some leaders were being used for darkness, while others, knowingly or unknowingly, were being positioned for something greater. I saw the battle intensify. The enemy wanted complete control, but something was holding them back. And then I saw it, the prayers of believers rising like pillars of light, pushing against the darkness. This is why prayer is so important, Jesus said. Many do not see the war that is being waged, but it is real. I watched as angels moved to protect those who stood firm, but I also saw those who fell into deception, those who turned away from truth. And as the year 2025 unfolded before me, I saw a moment of decision, a time when the world would have to choose its path. Then everything changed again. I stood frozen, watching the events of 2025 play out before me. I saw something I never expected, a deep division, but also a moment of opportunity. The return of Trump was not just about politics, it was about the spiritual forces at work in the world. Jesus spoke again. There will be those who resist, not just in the physical, but in the unseen realm. The enemy does not want this shift to happen. I saw forces of darkness rallying. It wasn't about a single person, it was about what his return represented. It was a challenge to the global agenda that had been carefully crafted over decades. Jesus showed me how the plans of world leaders had been influenced by spiritual forces. Some knowingly worked with darkness, while others were being manipulated without realizing it. I saw secret meetings, alliances being formed behind closed doors, deals that would reshape the world, but not for the better. But I also saw hope. There were those standing against this agenda, not just Trump, but others rising up. Some were unknown figures now, but would step into leadership when the time came. They were being prepared, positioned for the battle ahead. Jesus showed me that 2025 would be a turning point, not just for America, but for the world. The church would have to make a choice, stand boldly or be swept away. The prayers of believers would determine how events unfolded. Then, he looked at me with an intensity that shook me to my core. Tell them, Wilson. Tell them that the battle is not just of flesh and blood. They must be ready. The vision began to fade, but I was left with an unshakable knowing. Something was coming, and people needed to prepare. As the vision faded, I felt my spirit tremble. I had seen things I never could have imagined, but Jesus wasn't finished. He lifted his hand, and in an instant I saw another layer of reality. It was as if I had been blind my entire life and was now seeing the world for what it truly was. Every nation was engulfed in battle, not physical war, but spiritual warfare. Dark entities moved like shadows, whispering lies, spreading division, fueling chaos. I saw how governments were influenced, how decisions weren't made in isolation, but through unseen forces working behind the scenes. But then I saw the other side. There were warriors of light, angels, but also believers. Their prayers acted like shields, pushing back the enemy's influence. Some stood boldly, declaring truth, refusing to bow to fear. But others were silent. Their faith had been weakened, their voices stolen by the weight of the world. The battle has always been there, Jesus said, but now it is reaching its climax. I understood then that 2025 wasn't just a political year. It was a year of spiritual confrontation. The enemy wanted total control, but God was raising up those who would stand in the gap. I saw churches. Some were filled with fire, standing in prayer, united against darkness. Others had already fallen, empty shells with no power left in them. This is why I call my people to awaken, Jesus continued. Those who remain lukewarm will be swept away, but those who stand in faith will see my power move as never before. As I looked, I saw flashes of the future, persecution, trials, but also miracles. The power of God would be poured out in unexpected ways. The weak would become strong, the overlooked would rise. It was a time of choosing, a time of war, but also a time of hope. Then I felt it, a pull. I was being drawn back. My time in this place was coming to an end, but I knew I had to share what I had seen, because the world wasn't ready, but it needed to be. As I stood in that divine space, I saw something that broke my heart. How far many believers had drifted from true faith. Jesus allowed me to see into churches all over the world. Some were filled with light, their prayers reaching the heavens like flames, while others were cold, lifeless, mere shadows of what they were meant to be. Many had replaced the power of the Holy Spirit with entertainment and shallow words. They spoke of God but did not know Him. They preached messages to keep people comfortable, not to bring them to repentance. They do not understand the power of true prayer, Jesus said, his voice filled with sadness. I saw some churches compromised, aligning with the world instead of standing firm on the truth. Pastors who once preached boldly now watered down their messages to avoid controversy. Congregations that once gathered in fervent prayer now spent more time debating over trivial matters. But then I saw another group, small but powerful. These were the ones who still prayed with authority, who still called upon God with sincerity. Their faith wasn't based on numbers, popularity, or personal comfort. It was real. It was costly. And because of that, their prayers were shifting things in the spiritual realm. Jesus looked at me and said, "The time is coming when they will have to choose. The comfortable church will not stand in what is ahead." And then he showed me what was coming next. Jesus extended his hand, and suddenly I saw prayer like never before. I had always thought of prayer as words spoken in faith, but now I understood. It was so much more. Each prayer sent ripples through the spiritual world, shifting things unseen. Some prayers were weak, filled with doubt, barely moving. Others were powerful, cutting through darkness like swords of light. I saw angels responding instantly to prayers of faith. When someone truly prayed in alignment with God's will, Their words had the power to activate movements in the heavenly realm. But I also saw something tragic, prayers that went unanswered, not because God wasn't listening, but because they were spoken without belief, without sincerity. The enemy fears a praying church, Jesus said. That is why he keeps them distracted, keeps them busy, keeps them from seeing what is truly happening. I realized then how much time I had wasted in empty prayers, how often I had spoken words without expecting anything to change. But I also saw how even the smallest prayer, when spoken in faith, could alter history. Jesus then showed me something else, what was about to happen in 2025, and how prayer would be the key to everything. The vision before me shifted, and I saw the world like never before. It was as if I was looking down from above, watching events unfold in real time. The year 2025 stood before me, and I saw the earth tremble. Political unrest grew, and nations were at a breaking point. Protests, financial collapse, unexpected disasters, things were happening all at once, creating a storm of confusion. But at the center of it all was a battle not of flesh and blood, but of spiritual forces. I saw world leaders making decisions, some knowingly aligning with darkness, others completely unaware that they were being used for an agenda beyond human understanding. Jesus spoke. The world believes they are in control, but they do not see the hand that moves behind them. My people must discern the times. Then I saw something unexpected. Amidst the chaos, I saw a leader return to power, a man the world had rejected. His return was not welcomed by many, and opposition rose like a flood. But I saw the spiritual war that surrounded him. It was more than politics. It was about influence over nations, over the very soul of the world. I saw demonic forces gathering to prevent what was about to happen. But I also saw prayer warriors rising up. Their prayers were creating a shield, breaking chains, standing against what the enemy was trying to do. Then Jesus said something that made my heart race. The time of division is coming. Those who know the truth will stand, but those who remain blind will fall into deception. The world was about to shift in a way few were prepared for. Jesus looked at me with an urgency that shook me. Tell them to prepare. I saw America, once a beacon of light, now struggling under the weight of division and deception. The enemy had worked tirelessly to weaken the nation from within, to turn people against each other, to make them forget their foundation. But then I saw something else. A spark. It started small, but it grew. Prayer movements, hidden in homes, in churches, even in workplaces. People gathering in secret, calling upon God with sincerity. Revival wasn't coming from the big platforms. It was coming from the unknown, the overlooked. Jesus said, "If my people will humble themselves and pray, I will move." But they must act now. Then he showed me the consequences if they did not. I saw darkness spreading across nations, waves of fear gripping the hearts of people. But I also saw something even worse, silence from those who should have spoken. The time to be passive is over, Jesus said. The time of separation is here. Light and darkness will no longer be able to exist side by side. My people must choose. Then the vision started to fade, and I felt myself being pulled back. My time in that realm was coming to an end, but I knew I had to warn people. The world was about to change, and they needed to be ready. As the vision of America and the world faded, Jesus' expression became even more serious. His voice carried weight, like thunder wrapped in love. "Wilson, there is little time left," he said. "What is coming cannot be stopped, but my people must be prepared. I felt an overwhelming urgency, like the entire universe was holding its breath. Then he showed me what would happen if the church remained asleep. I saw people walking through life as if everything was normal, unaware that the ground beneath them was already shifting. Some were distracted by entertainment, social media, and daily worries. Others were so consumed by fear that they refused to seek the truth. And then there were those who had given up entirely, choosing comfort over conviction. Then Jesus lifted his hand, and I saw the enemy's plans unfolding. Darkness was moving, pushing forward, trying to erase the light. But there was still hope, because in the midst of this, there were those who stood firm, praying, declaring God's promises. Jesus turned to me. They must know that the battle is not lost, but they cannot fight with their eyes closed. I understood. Many believers had become passive, expecting others to fight for them. They had forgotten their authority, their power in prayer. The enemy wasn't afraid of lukewarm faith. He was afraid of a church that knew its identity. Then Jesus said something that sent chills through me. The next few months will determine the course of the years ahead. If my people rise up, they will see my hand move in ways they never imagined. But if they remain silent, if they do not pray, the weight of what is coming will be unbearable. My heart pounded. I wanted to ask what exactly would happen, but I already knew. This was a warning, not a prediction. The future was being written by the choices people would make now. Then everything around me began to fade. I felt a pull, like gravity suddenly took hold of me. The light, the voices, the presence of Jesus. It all began to slip away. "No, wait," I wanted to say. But before I could, I was falling, fast. The warmth of heaven vanished, and in its place there was pain. I was back. My body felt heavy, foreign. My chest burned as I gasped for air. Sounds rushed in, the beeping of medical machines, voices, movement. My eyes flickered open, and I saw the ceiling of a hospital room. For a moment, I couldn't comprehend where I was. It felt like I had lived an entire lifetime in those few minutes, and now I was here, trapped in flesh again. Doctors and nurses moved frantically around me. One of them gasped when she saw me awake. "He's back," she whispered. I tried to speak, but my throat was dry. My mind struggled to catch up. Was it all real? Had I imagined it? But then I felt it, an undeniable presence, a lingering touch of heaven still inside me. I turned my head, and for just a brief second, I saw something, someone, standing in the corner of the room. A being of light, watching. Then, just as quickly, it was gone. Tears filled my eyes. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining things. I had been there. I had met Jesus, and I had been sent back for a reason. But why me? I didn't know. What I did know was that the message I had received wasn't for me alone. It was for everyone. The world needed to hear what was coming. I had to speak. The days after my recovery were a blur. Doctors couldn't explain how I had survived. They said I was clinically dead for over 5 minutes. Yet somehow, I had come back without brain damage. They called it a miracle. But I knew it wasn't just a miracle. It was a mission. I wrestled with the weight of what I had seen. I wanted to tell people, but I feared they wouldn't believe me. Who would take me seriously? Who would listen to a man who had died and come back claiming to have spoken with Jesus? Then I heard his voice again, not out loud, but in my spirit. "Speak, Wilson." I couldn't stay silent. I had seen too much, felt too much. The warnings Jesus gave weren't meant to be hidden. They were meant to prepare people for what was ahead. So here I am, writing this message to you. I don't care if people doubt me. I don't care if they mock me. I don't care if they call me crazy. The truth is, I was there. I saw the battle, the forces at work, the war that is already happening in the spiritual realm. And I saw what is coming. 2025 is not just another year. It is a shift, a test, a moment in history that will define the path ahead. The enemy is moving, but God is also moving. The question is, will His people wake up in time? This message is not just for believers. It's for anyone who has ever wondered if there's more to this life. It's for those who feel the tension in the air but don't know what's coming. It's for those who have been searching for answers. Jesus is real, heaven is real, prayer is real, and the battle is real. You must decide where you stand. I have done my part. I have spoken. Now, it is up to you. Will you listen? Will you pray? Will you be ready? Because whether we are prepared or not, the shift is coming. Since returning to this world, I have wrestled with an overwhelming burden, not just for myself, but for everyone who is blind to what is unfolding. This isn't about politics, religion, or personal beliefs. It is about truth. It is about what I saw. Jesus made it clear. This is a time of decision. The world is at a crossroads, and each of us must choose where we stand. The enemy is working overtime to distract, deceive, and divide people. He wants us numb, indifferent, too consumed by daily life to see the bigger picture. But I saw the bigger picture. I know what is coming. Many people will ignore this message. They'll laugh, call it nonsense, and go back to their routines. That is exactly what the enemy wants. But those who have ears to hear will feel it deep inside. Something is happening. Something is shifting. Jesus didn't show me these things so I could sit in silence. He commanded me to speak. And now I am asking you, pleading with you, wake up, look around, see the world for what it is, not for what they tell you it is. Pray like you have never prayed before. Seek the truth, and you will find it. Do not be fooled by the distractions, the lies, the false peace they offer. Prepare yourself, not just physically, but spiritually. Because when the time comes, it won't be the strong, the wealthy, or the powerful who stand firm. It will be those who are rooted in truth, those who have built their foundation on God. Jesus told me, the time is short. And now I am telling you, you can ignore this, you can dismiss it, but you cannot say you weren't warned.